So where do I begin? I guess the bottom line is that I can't not do this. Have you ever been there where you can't not be who you are, or you can't not follow through with a project that's been laid on your heart? It's not like I ever said, oh, I want to make a podcast about truth and upset everybody. Yeah, no, that wasn't it. But that's what happened. And now I'm convicted that I have truth that other people need. Not want, but need. And so I'm committed. If I have to, spend the rest of my life sharing what I've found out. And what would that be? Well, for one, we're not who or what we thought we were or we are. Number two, the programs that they provided for us, the political and religious programs, are BS. Yeah, from the bottom up. And what else? Well, because of all that, not because of all that, because of all that, I started out with the wrong paradigm, and probably you did too. So what happened to me? Well, the primary thing, a lot of little steps, it's never the straw that breaks the camel's back, but all the straws that were on the back to begin with. And a lot of things in my life have led to this point. A lot of crazy things. Crazy. And stuff that's hard to talk about, but I think I have to, because it's the only way to heal. And if I don't heal, I can't help you. And I've been trying to heal all my life, but right now there's no getting around it. One of the reasons that I haven't been able to heal, and neither have you probably, is because we've been going about it the wrong way. Our paradigms are wrong. They're incorrect and upside down. And it's like healing the C problem with a V from the same people. That's what we've been doing all our lives. It doesn't work, You've got to have a strong foundation, and where does that come from? Most of us have allowed someone else to hand it to us, and then we wonder why it isn't working. Yeah. There's so much to unpack. When I started, I was very discouraged with our political system, which I had quite a bit invested in, not as a government official, but as a citizen. And from the minute we were little, we were taught to salute Old Glory, the American flag. And I believed that with all my heart, that we were special and unique and gonna set an example for the world. And that isn't what happened, is it? And same with the BIBLE. I started out in the 70s where I just had a pretty balanced picture, I think. And then when my husband died, or right before he died, he took his own life, and it was a hard time. And I went to a little Baptist church and fell head over heels for anybody that could help me. And they told me I was an unworthy sinner. And I believed that I was everything ugly they could say about me. And so it was a perfect fit, right? And throughout our history, that's how it's been. when I started studying the United States, it was really interesting because I had in my mind that we were from, well, my mom was 13 when she got pregnant. My dad's 17. They had 7 of us, and then it took in 2 more kids. And then my mom would later we had 3 stepsisters. So, in my mind, we were these hillbilly West Virginia, Appalachian no-brains, really. And I didn't expect to find anything, but my mom was convicted that we had a rich heritage and that we needed to look into ancestry back in 2017. And lo and behold, there we are in George Washington's diary. Flick my wig, cheesy wheezy. And so that opened some doors. And I figured out that we were the first people at Jamestown, and the first people, Pilgrims, and the first people in New York, and the first people in Maryland. And guess what? When we came over, we had our little plats of ground that looked just like over in England. And there was a Kent, and there all the names from over there. Umbria, Northumbria, and so I start seeing how these things are laid out. And my family, who came over here with different companies, the East India Company, the Virginia Company was the main one, but they came over here and they had all the land they ever wanted and the first choice for it. And I just recently uncovered, well, I caught it on a video, that they were looking into the DNA at Jamestown, who a couple of my ancestors are there, one buried in the church, and figured out that the 2 were related either by the same mom or the same grandma. And that was news because that was under the table. There's been so much stuff. So I was connected with our early history, and I had documentation, some diaries and things that really showed a very different picture than what I'd been taught. And I had quite a bit of experience because I was married to a John Birch Society coordinator, and they taught all about American history. And he and I went to University Christian, where my son was enrolled, and told them we wanted them to relook at the books they were using because it said Columbus discovered America. And they refused, and we got pretty much thrown out or walked out, but they didn't even want to look, even though we all know that that's not factual. Don't you think it's important to build on some kind of a solid foundation? Crazy. Why do we lie? Because we've been lied to. Why have we been lied to? That's what this podcast is for. To get us looking right side up at things and not backwards, as my mom would say, because everything we believe controls what we do. And what we do affects everybody else, not just us. So I went to January 6th. I was a good conservative Christian and had preached it for 33 years and married a lot of people and buried a lot of people and ministered to the soldiers in Salvador and all kinds of stuff. Had the whole church fall out in front of me. Wild stuff, right? And when I study something, as you'll find out, I go the extra mile and then some. I'll take a word and study it for a couple days to really get what the communication is supposed to be. So when I say I'm a good researcher, I'll tell you more about that later. I started doing Lumosity, and after a couple years, you ask it, it has insights. And it says, what would your best career have been? Guess what? Research. Yeah, because I don't quit. It's a perfect thing for me, and because I'm so curious. And I won't stop until I get the answers, which is very unfortunate for the hierarchy, which is another thing that convicted me to do this, is that last night, I have not attended any horoscope or tarot kind of things intentionally until I felt like I knew what was real and what wasn't. And I'm not, okay, let's say this. When I was a Christian, I believed in the concept of a savior. I didn't necessarily believe that Jesus was it. And I don't know how to explain that. I guess what I'm trying to say is there was always a little reservation in the back of my mind, but the rest of it seemed to prove itself true to me. And so I felt like that was enough evidence, right? And so with everything, I want to see some evidence. With the horoscope thing, I can definitely see that every planet is aligned and that we're on a numeric cycle. And all of that not only makes sense, but it's a factual phenomena that we see occurring every day with the moon and the sun and the stars in our lives. And so that's not hard to believe. Now, when it comes to people interpreting the stars for us, that's a different deal. So, yes, I believe the planets affect us, and so does everything in our universe affects us, and that we affect others the same. Because when we move our hand, we have in our mind that we're just moving our hand through nothing and there's no associated reaction. That's not true. The air is thick, it's plasma. And when we move our hand, it's really like moving your hand through a bowl of Jell-O. And it's affecting the vibrations, and movements are affecting everything. And everything we are, and everything we see, and everything we touch is moving. Matter is in constant flux. So we don't see things correctly. So in the past, first I've got this incredible bloodline from every direction. My dad, my mom, and I'll show you the details. It's mind-blowing. Then I've got this situation of growing up in the 50s, 60s, 70s and watching and being the oldest of a lot of children. And so I have that concept. And then I have the biblical thing where in the 70s I was free thinking, and then the biblical application and what that did to my thinking and my life and how that cornered me. And then I know that I've always been unusual. I didn't know why, and I worked hard not to be different, but it seems like I couldn't help it. And even the harder I tried to be somewhat normal, like to, I don't want to say follow the rules, but I've always seen things differently than most people. And so no matter how I tried, I got in trouble with people and they didn't understand me. But I knew that my heart was right. I knew it. And so it's been very confusing. I've been what people tell me is an excellent counselor to help people through grief, through loss, through relationships. And I even had a radio show for it. And yet I have the hardest time with interpersonal, intimate relationships. I suck at it. I suck at it. And I keep trying. And so finally, after being addicted to alcohol, I got off that. I got addicted to pain medication. I got off that. I was addicted to exercise. I was addicted to cleaning. I've been addicted to everything people there is to be addicted to. Fortunately, I've also been addicted to work and, like I said, exercise and being healthy. So some of it has paid off. But it's been very challenging, not only for me, but for people who would like to love me. I hate the word love. See, I see things differently. I'll explain that later. But I think we've been shortchanged, and I think we've shortchanged ourselves. And I believe that it's time that we figured out for real who we are, what we are, where we came from, and what we can do with it. And started looking into all the things that we were handed to believe in, like religion, like politics, like people are equal, like love never fails, like learn history and you won't have to repeat it. We don't have any history that's not deceptive. We don't. And then language. Is it powerful? Does it go through the air? Does it make connection? Is it physical? Is it a vibration? And who are we really? Are we biology? Are we dimension? Are we all thinking? Is it all in our brain? Is it all in our consciousness? And what is consciousness? All those things. And much more. Like the poster boys and Roosevelt and the clubs and mud fossils and finding fossils and bones. And I've got a great bone collection and I'm building a pyramid. And so I'm really excited about what I can share relative to new information and exciting information. But I can't get there until I unpack this stuff, because I don't believe we'll ever have a fair chance until we get the foundation right and know who we are and why we're here. I sense that I'm here for a purpose. Everything lines up perfectly. I can't escape my call. I can't. I've been on a hunt for truth all my life, to the extent that I've driven people crazy. I finally got some and I'd like to share it with you, but it's not comfortable. And I've tried through the process, this journey of finding the truth, I've tried to share it, but it was ineffective at best because I was traumatized. I finally got a diagnosis for myself. I come from a long line of addiction. And they say 60% of a person's chance of having addiction is it's in your past. Well, I have it everywhere. And So I wanted a definitive diagnosis to help myself, and I finally went to Amen Clinic after I found this out because I was so depressed. And I ended up making some huge changes that I think would help anybody with similar problems. If you've dealt with depression and ADHD or some of those things, then I think my rough times might be able to make your rough times easier. And so all of that's included. I tried to think, how could I break this down and just share about the country, the Bible, paradigms, healing, pyramids, energy, and then I thought, it's just all who I am, and so it's just the whole package. And one day I might be talking about personality types, and then tomorrow maybe we'll talk about grief, and the next day maybe about Zeus, and the next day maybe about digging up dinosaur bones and identifying them. But it'll all come together, and we'll find truth to live on. And it won't be what the people in charge want for us. That's how I plan to spend the rest of my life. And I'm dedicated because I don't really have a choice. Everything in my life has been like this. One step led to the next. And I can't ignore it or avoid it or erase it. It's who I am. And so maybe being who I am will help you be who you are. And I'm sure far from perfect, and I am not a prototype of anything. So maybe that'll let you hang loose a little more. And we can all be real together. Wouldn't that be something? I hope you'll join me. I'm going to start right after I shut this down.